Hey, this is Matt once again. Welcome back to another video. There's another paid request, this time for Ty. Thank you so much for that. And for those interested in requesting pretty much any type of videos, topics, reactions, reviews, randomness, out of the blueness, whatever it may be, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box. And this is for Ty, like I said, who wanted me to do Life as a House for 2001. Now, it's directed by Irwin Winkler. Irwin Winkler, I remember his name because he was a producer of the Rocky films, at least the early ones. And he was a director of films like The Net with Sandra Bullock, which I did enjoy. This one, it feels like a Lifetime Channel movie, or maybe that type of theme, but at least maybe a bit higher production value, maybe higher caliber of cast. Kevin Kline, who is definitely one of the shining points of the movie, and I like Kevin Kline from A Fish Called Wanda, among many other films. He plays a guy who he finds out fairly early on he's dying of cancer. And so he decides to tear down this place he's living in and build a custom house. And he gets his son, played by Hayden Christensen. This is before he did Star Wars Attack of the Clones. And at this point, Hayden Christensen, he's got piercings on his face. I mean, one of the first times we see him, he's doing a little bit erotic asphyxiation, where he's like hanging himself, but he's pleasuring himself. So, yeah, great first impression. He's got eye makeup. His mom is played by Kristen Scott Thomas. Kevin Kline and Kristen are divorced. Kristen's with this other guy, who's actually Jamie Sheridan, the guy who played the bad guy in the original miniseries of The Stand from back in the 90s. So then after Kevin Kline gets fired, and then he finds out he's got cancer, he's got 4 months to live, he decides to build this house. And he forces Hayden Christensen to help him. And, hey, you don't live with me for the summer, we don't build this house. And throughout it, their bond gets stronger. Kristen Scott Thomas and Kevin Kline, their bond gets stronger. And it's very melodramatic. It's a wannabe tearjerker, very forced. And like I said, Kevin Kline to me is the shining point of the movie. You know, there's a nice scene that he has with his son, Hayden, where he's telling him the truth about himself, and he's also talking about his own dad and what happened with him. And there's also bits of dialogue where, listen, you're not happy with your situation at home. I just see in your eyes you're barely alive. Your change is constant. And you just don't know how life could be better until that change has happened. And it sounds wishy-washy, but I think Kevin Kline makes it work. Hayden Christensen, a lot of people praise his performance. I mean, I'm not a big Hayden Christensen fan, even in this one, because he just comes off as a big whiner. This guy seems old enough, but he's whining like a little kid. I don't want to be here. I mean, if I saw this performance, I would not have cast him as Anakin Skywalker in Attack of the Clones, with this kind of whining tone in his voice. I want to go home. I don't want to be here. I just hated Christensen. You know what? I may like the prequels a little bit more because of Disney Star Wars, but I'm not going to sit here and praise Hayden Christensen's performance. I still think it sucks. I still think he's a terrible actor. See, at least... Why can't I remember his name? The guy in Twilight, who's the new Robert Pattinson. At least Robert Pattinson has proved, whether in Good Times, whether in The Batman, that he could be capable of doing stuff better. Twilight's just a poorly written, poor at every aspect movie and franchise. Hayden Christensen never showed me that. He was bad in this film called Awake. He was tolerable in this film called Takers. He was bad in the Star Wars prequel, and I think he's rather bad in this. Just this fucking whining sack of shit. The stuff between Kevin Kline and Kristen Scott Thomas, where they used to be together, that stuff seems a little bit more heartfelt. I think those are the better actors in the movie. Scott Bakula's in it, and he's completely wasted. He's in like 1 or 2 scenes, and he doesn't show up till well over an hour into the movie. And he's like a police officer, but he used to be a former friend of Kevin Kline. I'm like, wait a minute, you get Scott Bakula, the star of Quantum Leap, among other stuff, and you barely use him? You barely use him. That is ridiculous to me. If this was about not a father and son, but 2 former best friends, Kevin Kline and Scott Bakula, is like, hey, I have no kids, I'm divorced, I don't spend time with my best friend, and we haven't talked to each other in a while. It was those 2, Kevin Kline and Scott Bakula, becoming friends again, because they were friends when they were kids, and something made them drift apart. Then you know what? I think this would have been a better movie. I really do. People go, well, it got critical and IMDb raves. I don't care. It's also a movie that I bet if I mention the title, people don't know what the hell I'm talking about. What the hell's Life as a House? Was this on Lifetime? Was it on Oxygen? No, it wasn't. And also, the movie did not need to be over 2 hours long. This is a plot that you could tell in 80 minutes, not 2 hours. So they're building the house. Oh yeah, there was a subplot where Hayden Christensen had this drug dealer who was also a pimp. And so at one point, the guy tried to get him to hook up with this other guy. So not only it was a pimp, but it was to get paid to do a homosexual act. Didn't follow through. Cops came by. That's only there because later on this one guy wants to shut the thing down because don't have the permits or so forth, and Hayden recognizes him as the guy that wanted some young company who's a married guy. So then he changes his mind, says forget the whole thing, and Scott Bakula is there, and he's confused, like, what the fuck? Number one, it's very rare to hear Sam Beckett swear. So it was fun to have. That's what I mean. I wish Scott Bakula was in it more. He was completely underused. Completely. And then, spoiler alert, but you could tell this is coming. Kevin Kline collapses. He's in the hospital. He's like, oh, you finish it, Sam. You'll finish the house. There's a bit that, thankfully, from the hospital window, you can see all the way down, and Hayden put Christmas lights on the house. so that Kevin Kline can see it, and then he dies of cancer. Hayden Christensen's wondering what to do next, and he's like, you know what, I'm going to give this house to this person. You know, the house was meant as a bonding time to build, so he gives a house to a person who needs it more than him, showing that Hayden Christensen is grown. He has no piercings, there's no eye makeup, there's a little bit of him having this lovey-dovey story with this other girl. Like, I don't know why they tried to force this other story in there where was a Mary Steenburgen and this guy who younger guy is having sex with her, and Mary Steenburgen's daughter finds out about it. She's weirded out about it. I don't know why you need that whole subplot in there. It didn't really do anything. It didn't really build up to anything. And yeah, this just wasn't my cup of tea. It's not rants because it's not like a god-awful, terrible, oh my god. It's not like, oh, it's bad editing and bad direction and awful effects. And it's just very melodramatic, very manipulative. And I don't want to say sappy, but it's, again, it's, do you think of, a bit more of a polished Lifetime Channel movie? But if you like Kevin Kline, or maybe if you're a diehard Hayden Christensen fan, I wish it wasn't Hayden Christensen. If it was a younger Ryan Gosling, even Shia LaBeouf, any number of other actors, maybe it could be better. Again, maybe if it was about two friends, Kevin Kline, Scott Bakula, I think it could have been better. Some of the dialogue, like there's someone's talking to Kevin Kline, and I think it's Mary Steenburgen, and she's like, well, people have to be touched. Everyone gets touched by someone they love. I'm like, okay, if you say so. Mary Steenburgen, you can touch me if you want. But, yeah, Life as a House. I don't know what else to say. It's not really kind of movie I really choose to see on my own, if that makes any sense. If this wasn't a paid request, I never would have seen the film and never would have cared to. Just not really my cup of tea in genre of film. But with that said, thanks for watching. Take care. We'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.